Good day to you all. Now I'm going to talk about the poem My Dreams, My Work Must Wait Till After Death by Gwendolyn Brooks. In this poem, the narrator is struggling because of the racial discrimination. Everyone in this world able to overcome racial discrimination by their goals and challenges. The writer has the determination to oppose the society by her achievement. The determination leads her to endure all the hardships in her life until she reaches her end. The narrator of this poem has the potential to make the world silent by her creativity. In her life, creativity is the key to overcome the struggle to survive in the world. Even the society showed color discrimination to the writer. She acted like a doctrine of endurance. It's not easy to show endurance all the time. However, in order to achieve something, narrator bear every negative incident that happened in her life. The writer struggled to protect her own identity. In order to show her own identity to everyone, she used her valuable talents. The biblical imagery in this poem gives her dream a touch of holiness or sacredness. The major struggle that the author has to face was to win her life as an African American poet with liberation. The author of this poem fought for the liberation of her race. Color discrimination was a massive issue in 1930s. In the writer's point of view, there should be no discrimination on the ground of color. This is a lyric poem which falls into the category of Shakespearean sonnet. The rhyming words are quite different from standard English, belongs to English spoken African people in America. The end.
Explanation 2. African people were oppressed by American people through racial discrimination. Culturally, the Africans were affected and they lost their identity. People face tough struggles in life to find their identity. In this poem, a need was seen for the soldiers who were enslaved during the war to recover from it. In this poem, the poet says that African people are waiting for freedom till the end. The meaning of this poem is that time is not uncertain and anything can happen in any time. For example, African people's discriminated lives can change for better any time. The poet says that people are waiting with the hope that the discriminatory life of the African people can change for the better any time. The poet says that African people live in a state of despair as they are discriminated against and oppressed by the American people. The poet says that people are culturally discriminated and lost their identity and live in America. Cultural discrimination between American people and African people is one of the main themes in this poem. The hunger in this poem is a reflection of her identity. The poet mentions that it will be struggle to move on until people reach their old culture for support. After the migration of the African people, their lives were seen to be bound by social constraints. The American people could free the African people even on the ground of sympathy. Even though the people were living in the midst of many crises, they did not give up their determination to return to their native culture. The poet focused on how African people can reclaim their old status even though the groups is pushed by the Black identity. The suffering and depression experienced by the people in the past caused them to feel hopeless because they couldn't feel. The poem, My Dreams, My Work, Must Wait Till After Hell, represent the narrator's journey of hardship to the road culture. Brooks uses the themes of hunger and insecurity as well as the imagery of bread and honey to represent the vital essential need for dreams. Thank you.
Explanation 3. The poem My Dreams, My Works Must Wait Till After Hell was written by Gwendolyn Brooks, clearly shows racial discrimination faced by African American people in America. This poem reminds the Emancipation Proclamation of Abraham Lincoln and the speech by Martin Luther King about racial discrimination at the Lincoln Memorial. Americans degrade the people from Africa because of their skin tone. However, the narrator overcame the struggles and won. I believe Sri Lankans never allowed to lose their identity. According to this poem also, narrator is not ready to lose her identity. She does not accept America as her home. She wants to be a popular in literature with her own identity as an African. The color is not a matter to her hungry. The line, I am incomplete, shows her inner feeling to be an African American instead of African. Every hardship gives us rewards. Therefore, here Brooks clearly mentioned her situation in America with her color barriers, racial issues, and slavery. However, she overcomes from everything, and this poem clearly indicates her malnutritional food protein. The diction Devil Days clearly indicates the hardships in America as a black act. Overcoming the slavery and racial issue in America is really a difficult task, but Brooks overcame from all these struggles with her creativity and won numerous awards, including Pulitzer Prize for her strong role as a Black poet. The term Honey Light emphasized how she focused on her dream to be an African poet. The line, and no one can tell when I may dine again, clearly indicates the uncertainty of African people in America. They are in a dilemma. They cannot return to their nation. Meanwhile, they have to face a lot of struggles to live in America as an American, as an African. No man can give me any word but wait. This line is quite enough to reveal the endurance and the neediness for a true companion of African slave people. They endured every struggles and barriers which created by American white people. Africans are black and Americans are white according to the climate changes of their native. But Americans create a color partiality among them. So they start to neglect the African people. Americans does not allow the African people to be independent and be happy in their country. In this poem, narrator indicate her own identity and the struggles she faced by that identity in first-person narration. I hold my honey and I store my bread in little jars and cabinets of my will. This line gives an extended metaphor. She compares her desires and ambitions to her hunger and her creativity to bread and honey. Food is a fundamental need for everyone. There is no social discrimination, no color discrimination, no geographical background for hunger. Likewise, Brooks has a hunger to be a great African poet in America. Brooks has the ability of creativity that leads her to become a great African American poet in America and won numerous awards, including Pulitzer Prize for her strong role as a Black poet. Brooks describes Africa as her home. She admires to be an African in America, but because of the barriers, she thinks to go back to her native Africa. The statement clearly indicated by the line, be firm, I return from hell. She reveals that she has a hope to return to Africa, and also she describes America as hell. In this poem, Brooks emphasized the comparison between deferred happiness and a deferred entrance to heaven. Also, she compared the difference and the characteristics between African people and American people in American nation. Food is a fundamental need for everyone. But here she compares her hunger to her ambition, meanwhile her creativity. Compared to the food, bread and jam. Bread is a stable, bland food found in the cupboards of every rich and poor household. In the meantime, honey is produced by strenuous amount of labor and undeniably, perhaps even unbearably sweet. So, a reader can be able to understand her commitment through her beginning lines. In the poem, My dreams, my works must wait till after hell clearly shows the eager of liberation and color discrimination, racial discrimination, and the barriers they faces in Africa as a Black African. The phrase, cabinets of my will, emphasize her desire of liberation. Every society has some particular restriction. In that case, this poem also revealed the social restrictions in America. For example, they cannot attend the prominent functions. They have to respect every American compulsory. Brooks does not ready to accept all these restrictions. Even American faces so many struggles in even African people faces so many struggles in America. They does not accept others' empathy. They believe for a future with prosperity. We feel insecurity when we are out from our own home. Likewise, Africans feel insecurity in their American nation. We can consider insecurity as a hidden theme of this poem. Through this poem, we can able to know that Africans hopeless to reach again to their own nation. The line, be firm till I return from hell, clearly shows their situation. Brooks tried to tell that it is difficult to live in others' nation, is hopeless and uncomfortable. Brooks feels so depressed and live in a others' nation as a slave with so many struggles. However, she overcame all these struggles.
Explanation form. She is an African American lady who affected by racial discrimination by America. This poem indicates that how blacks felt and feel about racial issues in this country. The speaker works hard and waits anxiously to achieve the goal. The goal can be the loss of identity. The narrator leaves her native roots and shifts to America. This incident indicates that loss of identity. The poem represents the narrator's journey of hardship to the root culture. The poet faces lots of struggle in her journey of hardship. The speaker tries in various ways to overcome struggle for win her dream. She stands in her own path and finds a way to overcome struggle. The speaker wants liberation to expose her emotions. The poem reveals that endurance is most important to chasing our dream. Gwendolyn Brooks keeps her determination of dream until her last time. The poem indicates that handle the hard situation determinedly. In this poem, the word home reveals that narrator's native place. The speaker feels comfort zone in her old home. Narrator feels despair about the social discrimination. Brooks loses her own identity in searching her dream. The poem emphasizes that we all want the own identity to survey our journey in the world. She has number of commitments in her life. The speaker celebrates the Black identity in her poem. She speaks of continuously for positioning of Black people's identity. In this poem, the speaker tells that she has suffered in starvation for some days. These days called as evil days. Thank you.